never would have been brought because it's such a low-level crime. And
there
so you've got him saying,
so we're looking at this,
excuse
me, Judge, this is the video that has been circulating around the internet, of course, will be probably submitted as evidence. And there's been a back and forth over whether or not something did in fact happen. I mean, a lot of people who were there are saying, yes, it did happen, and others saying no. I mean, there's been this back and forth. Are you confident, though, Judge? I mean, once in front of a court, they're going to settle this out.
In all likelihood, yes. I mean, unless he's so adamant, he has to accept a plea voluntarily. They can't force him to. So if he says absolutely not, I'm going to trial, the case is going to trial. I just don't see him wanting to take it to trial, and I don't see them wanting to push it to trial.
Right, exactly.
But that's what's so interesting about this from a legal standpoint. You said no contest means he doesn't acknowledge guilt. Of course, from a political standpoint, no contest means no contest. I'm not contesting the underlying allegation here, which is that I assaulted a woman. And for the Trump campaign, regardless of whether he's guilty of this or not legally, for the Trump campaign, who's obviously had problems with their attitude towards women, a lot of people believe, including the vast majority of women, including Republican women, this is not helpful.
No, but they can delay it. See, the thing is that it's not going to go to trial next week. If they're smart, what they'll do is they'll delay this until it's no longer a factor in the election, and then he can plead no contest.
He can't say or even allude that he might have been guilty of this, especially with the way he came storming out saying that she was delusional. There's no way he can do anything but kind of wait or say, hey, I'm not guilty, and yeah, you don't want a trial for this. They really want this to go away.
And you've heard, Kat, you've heard some people also, I mean, not quoting Twitter, but this back and forth has been happening again since March 8th.
Yeah.
And if you're a Trump supporter, you can read their philosophy, which is online everywhere, and they're saying, you know, she was out of line, she was trying to grab Mr. Trump, she was shouting a question, he was well within his rights. I mean, how does this affect, in the court of public opinion, someone like a Donald Trump?
I think that that's already been determined. I don't think whether or not he actually faces any legal consequences will matter. Because, Ken, you were saying there's nothing really serious legally that can happen to him. The fact that it happened, that people have the video, people have already kind of made up their minds about which camp they're in.
Yeah, and the people who support Trump are going to side with the campaign manager and say she was out of line, and the people who don't like Trump are going to say it's another example of the bullying tactics, et cetera, et cetera.
Battery is a first-degree misdemeanor. I'm sorry, I'm just reading through some of the specifics here in the timeline of this case. So as far as the penalty that he could face for something like this...
Well, the maximum penalty for a battery in the state of Florida is up to a year in jail. But somebody with no priors and a battery of this level, you know, I mean, battery is, you know, like he grabs her arm, that's a battery. But battery is also he punches her in the face.
That battery
They're both batteries.
You just assaulted me right now. National television. I just want to say, you know, I'm going to press charges.
And there's video of it.
I know, you're really in trouble. Wow.
So he could face up to a year in jail, but for a first-time offense and a battery of this nature, if it actually went to trial and he got convicted, I don't think he'd even do jail time. If he did, it would be a very minimal amount. They'd probably put him on probation.
I was looking at Donald Trump's Twitter account, Andrea, to see if there was any response from him on this. Not anything specific that I can see in the last couple hours. Would you advise him to stay silent, Donald Trump himself, to stay silent on the matter?
Yeah, I would tell Donald Trump to say, you know what, let the legal process deal with it. I don't, from my understanding, there's nothing here, and let it work its way out.
It almost keeps them from having to answer any more questions about it. They can now just say, hey, well, they're dealing with it, the laws.
Because otherwise he's playing right into the whole anti-woman thing.
But he has had his campaign managers back in passing. Every single time he has the backs of his staff. And you can see they seemingly have his. As far as his supporters, though, I don't think this is going to, as Judge Alice mentioned, I don't think this is going to hurt Donald Trump. I don't think this is going to affect him in Pennsylvania. I think if you like him, as the polls show, you made a decision that you like him early on and you stick with it, and nothing will deter your support of that candidate.
Well, it's just another data point for both sides. The data point for the people that don't like Donald Trump is he has a culture not only of himself but of people around him mistreating women. If you like Donald Trump, yet one more person is being victimized. What I think is interesting about this is the people who think that Corey Lewandowski is somehow being unfairly maligned or unfairly victimized. He's unfairly maligned or unfairly victimized, according to them, by Michelle Fields, who we all know, we've all worked with. Michelle Fields is no liberal, you know, feminist. I mean, Michelle Fields is a woman who worked for Breitbart, an organization that was very, very friendly and continues to be friendly to Donald Trump. You know, without saying whether she's right or wrong in this, I certainly wasn't there, but this is no conspiracy to get Donald Trump. And so I think that's a data point as well for people who are on the fence. But there are, as you said, Kat, so few people on the fence about this. People have made up their minds. And, you know, they believe what they believe. Either they see this in the video. I actually have a friend who was there very close to the action. He claims he saw nothing. I look at a video and I see something different. So I think it's almost like a Rashomon scenario.
And that's the point I want to hit on, Judge, is because we all in the court of public opinion have watched this thing play out. And there's a number of people who were there who said, this was a big nothing burger. Nothing occurred. She blew this out of proportion. So finally, this is going to be settled, we hope.
Yes, I think it will. And typically, somebody grabs you by the arm. Nobody usually brings battery charges based on just being grabbed by the arm.
Trying to grab my arm.
On the other, yes, I'm trying to get two people.
Wait, this is now a second offense, right? This is no longer.
It's not going to go easy for me. But I was reading that she claimed that she had bruises, and she took pictures of bruises. So if he grabbed her roughly enough to leave bruises, that is a significant issue.
And if that's submitted in court, the judge is going to look at that and say,
you know, the punishment should fit the crime. And maybe it won't be a pretrial intervention program. Maybe it will be at least a probation, maybe some jail time.
Is it at the judge's discretion? How does that work?
No, the pretrial intervention is offered by the state attorney. They determine whether somebody is appropriate for the program, because it's a program that takes you out of the criminal prosecution. And if you successfully complete it, they drop the case.
Got it.
He actually wouldn't, I misspoke, he actually wouldn't have to plead no contest. They put you in the program, and if you complete it, they drop the case as if it never existed. That's the best outcome for him. But if he goes through to a plea where he actually pleads no contest, then the case did exist.
But he would have to concede that he did something wrong in order to take this pretrial intervention.
Sometimes the state attorneys don't require him to concede anything. They just say, we're going to offer him pretrial intervention. He goes through the program. At the end, they null pros the case, and it's over and done with.
Do you know anything about his representation, Lewandowski, down in Florida? Scott Richardson of the Law Office of Scott and Richardson?
I don't know him in person, no.
Okay.
Sandra, what about the other candidates? Because I have to imagine if you're Ted Cruz's camp today, you're waiting to make hay of this. I mean, a lot of times you see other candidates jump on board. I would imagine, Julie, that Democrats are saying, okay, we're going to throw this at Donald Trump as well, if you're Hillary Clinton.
You know, of all the things that Donald Trump himself has done, I think this is at the low end of the totem pole with respect to women. This is Corey Lewandowski. Really, you can't pin this on Donald Trump. If this were the only thing that happened in Trump world, of course, Democrats would be all over it. But there's so many things that Donald Trump himself has said towards women and about women that Democrats can quote at will, that I think in this case you really should let the legal process play out. Listen, I'm certainly not a fan of Corey Lewandowski. I happen to know and like Michelle Fields. I sympathize with her. But having said that, he is innocent until proven guilty, and I think anybody would be crazy to allege that he did something until the legal process plays itself out.
Crazy, but we know that candidates are crazy.
Yeah.
Do we not, Kat? I mean, this is assuming that everybody running for president right now is completely, which is not true whatsoever.
Not at all. You can't run for president and be normal now because it's too boring. Everybody wants to watch interesting things happen, or ever. Yeah, it gives them an excuse to not have to talk about it, too. Like, hey, it's being dealt with. I think that could almost be a positive thing that he's in the legal system now, because he's like, I don't have to do anything, I guess. You know, they're taking care of it, and I'm going to build the wall, and then whatever else he wants to talk about instead.
Kind of takes it off the burner.
And Judge, could you argue that this is now out of the way, at least, because it does give them an opportunity to say, okay, a court's handling this issue, we're going to move forward, we're going to talk about the issues. I mean, Trump, again, he has had the back of his campaign manager rightfully for a long time. I mean, he works for him. He was right there. He says nothing happened. I absolutely support him. He didn't do anything wrong, and so now he can just move forward.
Yeah,
from a PR perspective.
It does give him cover. If that's what you're saying. Yes, it does give him cover because it allows him to pass it off to the legal system and say, let it run its course. I have confidence in my campaign manager. I don't believe it's going to lead to anything, so let it run its course, and he can take it off the plate. But unlike what you were saying, Julie, I called you Judy. Unlike what Julie was saying.
That's the woman you assaulted.
The people who don't like Trump are still going to use it. Yes, they have a lot of ammunition, but what they're going to say is he's created this culture. Him. He's got the guy at the other rally that grabbed the other protester by the shirt, and they're going to say he's created this atmosphere, and this is the atmosphere he's going to bring to the White House.
They will, and but again, as I said, there's so many things that Donald Trump himself has done. So I think if I were running a campaign against Donald Trump, you just use his own words against him. You don't have to go to Corey Lewandowski. It is a culture that he has created, if in fact Corey Lewandowski is guilty, which I still say, maybe I'm the minority here, until we figure out what exactly happened or the courts do.
And I should get back in, while Trump hasn't said anything in the past few hours, his camp put out a statement, as you led in with Andrea, maintaining that Corey is absolutely innocent, is the Trump campaign's response.
Before we move on, Julie, what specifically did your friend say? Who was there and who witnessed the entire thing?
He said he didn't see anything. Then again, he's also a very close friend of the Trump family, and so, of course, you know, he may be predisposed to see.